Okay, so what I'm going to work through are some practice problems with using the quotient rule. So what I have up here, of course, is the quotient rule written so nicely. It's so beautiful. Yep, I know. But really, a good, easy way to remember that is that if you're going to have a function as a quotient, and let's say it's in the form of u over v, and don't fret none just because f of x and g of x, that's u in the numerator, v in the denominator, right? The derivative is basically this. You take the denominator, you throw it in the bottom, you square it, you throw it back up top so you don't forget about it, and then you take the derivative of the top minus the derivative of the bottom, which is v prime, times the top. This has also been known to be said as high d, meaning the derivative, right? Low, minus low d, high, over low, low. All right, so that's another way of saying it, right? High d means the high derivative. So I took the derivative of the top, which is the numerator. Low d means the low derivative. I took the derivative of the denominator, okay? So that's just some ways you can remember it, right? I always like to say, you take the denominator, you throw it in the bottom, you square it, you throw it back up top so you don't forget about it, and then you take the derivative of the numerator minus, and that's a big part here, minus the derivative of the denominator times the numerator, okay? And like I said, high D low minus low D high over low low. All right, let me remove that a little bit for us. Okay, so I wrote some practice problems over here that I thought might work out for us. Okay, so over there, f of x is equal to 2 over x squared. Oh, I lied. X to the fifth minus 5. I can't even read. Okay, so there's my u, and there's my v. So if I'm going to do the quotient rule, it's basically f prime is equal to, take the denominator, you throw it in the bottom, you square it, you throw it back up top so you don't forget about it. Then you take the derivative of the top, which of course is 0, minus the derivative of the bottom, which is 5x to the fourth, times the top, which is 2. And then you clean this guy up, right? So you can say goodbye to him because he's 0. Gotta love that. You get negative 10x to the fourth over x to the fifth minus 5 quantity squared. Fancy, I know, okay? Now, let's not forget, in the last video, we did do a power rule. This actually could be done by a power rule, okay? So I could write this as 2 parentheses x to the fifth minus 5, right, to the negative 1 power. So here we go. Derivative comes down in front, right? Bam! Took a lot of effort to get down there. Hopefully you remember that from the last video. And then you subtract 1 gives you negative 2. Now the kicker, though, is that you have to know the chain rule here. So the derivative of x to the fifth minus 5, oh, by the way, is 5x to the fourth, and that's why that guy came out. When you multiply your 5x to the fourth and your negative 2, oh yeah, you get that. And then, of course, your denominator, oh yeah, you get that. I tell you, so daggone clever, I can't stand it. All right, so pause the video if you have to, okay? I'm cleaning this guy up so we can go on to the next one. I know I'm cramming all these problems in here, but I love my little thing over here, right? So we have my, oh, good, good. Yeah, awesome. Right, so now I'm going to go ahead and find the derivative of this one. Here we go. Right? So my u is 4x cubed minus 3x squared. My denominator is 4x to the fifth minus 4, okay? So y prime, also known as dy dx, right? Here we go. Take the denominator, throw it in the bottom, square it. Throw it back up top so you don't forget about it. Then take the derivative of the numerator. Derivative of the numerator, yeah, it's a little busy, but you're tough. 12x squared minus 6x, right? Minus derivative of the denominator. Derivative of the denominator, of course, I can't even read my denominator, is 20x to the fourth times the numerator. And again, the numerator is that 4x cubed minus 3x squared thing. All right, here's where algebra kicks into play. I know. Please, 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 for the love of Pete, do not try to cancel these guys. You would make me extremely sad if you did that, right? You cannot pick apart a sum or a difference. And remember, oh, by the way, you have a difference up here. Okay, so what we're going to have to do with this, guy, is we're going to have to do a little foiling action. No big deal. All right, so you can pause the video if you want, or you can just go through with me and look at the foiling thing going on here. So I get 48x to the 7th, because remember, when you multiply like bases, you add the exponent, minus 24x to the 6th, minus 48x squared, plus 24x. Please, 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 please be careful. You are distributing a negative through those guys, okay? So make sure you really work that. Now over here, this is also a little trickster. People always mess this guy up. So if you need to, go ahead and call plus a negative if you have to, right? So you end up getting minus 20x to the 4th. I lied. Sorry about that. I hate when I lie like that. It's minus, sorry, it's 80 x to the 7th, because, oh yeah, by the way, you are distributing here. Okay, let me spray the screen a little bit. Okay, so I'm distributing. This piece went to here, and that one's going there. So I end up getting a negative 20 times a negative 3. Oh, by the way, is a positive 60 x to the 6, because remember, when you multiply like bases, you add the exponents. All right, now let's clean up a little bit, right? We can clean up. You have an x to the 7th and an x to the 7th, right? So you can definitely combine those guys. And you have a negative 24x to the 6th and a positive 60x to the 6th. Yep, see how I'm color coding. He's a standalone one, and I need another color. This one's a standalone one, okay? So when you go and combine all these, okay, let me slide that up a little bit. Sorry about that. Okay, so a positive 48 and a negative 80, I'm pretty sure. Now, it's been a little while, so I've done a little math. What? I'm just kidding. Negative 32x to the 7th. And then I have a negative 24x to the 6th plus 60x to the 6th. And of course, that's going to get me a 36x to the 6th. I was literally doing that in my head as I was working it out. And then, of course, we have, oops, tripped again. I hate when I trip. 48x squared plus 24x. Oh my goodness, that was craziness. I'm telling you, some things that literally mess people up in calculus, it's literally the algebra 1. Are you kidding me? I know, craziness. All right, so oops, tripped. Let's do this next one right there. Oops, this last guy. Here we go. So this one, again, there's my u, there's my v, okay? And I'm going to basically find the derivative. So I take the denominator, I throw it in the bottom, I square it. I throw it back up top so I don't forget about it. Then I take a derivative of the square root of x. The 1/2 slips down in front, x to the negative 1/2. Whoops, right? Minus, now I'm taking the derivative of the denominator. Derivative of the denominator is just 3x squared times the numerator. Fair enough. Now, let's do some cleaning up on this one, because sometimes it's literally the cleanup part that messes people up. I know this video is a little bit longer than normal, but you know what? Algebra takes a little while. So here we go. I'm just going to rewrite my denominator because, I can. And then up here, please note, that's actually saying x cubed plus 1 over 2 square roots of x. And this one over here is a 3x squared square root of x. Now, the denominator, right? I can clean this up a little bit by multiplying the top and bottom by 2 radical x, because all I've done, yep, multiplied by 1. Super exciting. So now if I take that in, they cancel, right? And I'm just left with an x cubed plus 1. Then likewise, if I take that same guy and go here, nothing cancels. So I just need to do my little work there. I forgot the 1, sorry about that. Minus, so if I multiply 3x squared times 2 radical x, 3 times 2 is called 6. X squared is x squared, of course. But square root of x times square root of x is x. So this becomes x cubed. Denominator, he's just sitting pretty. He's like, dude, I'm just going to chill. I'm not going to distribute down here because, oh, by the way, I can't because I have a power. Crazy thought, right? Now, combine like terms. X cubed minus 6x cubed is negative 5x cubed plus 1. And that little guy is just sitting there like, dude, I'm just going to chill down here. Fun fact is that later on, we're going to actually take this derivative and do stuff with it. So you definitely want to make sure you can simplify it way down. All right. Well, I really hope this was helpful. And stay tuned because maybe the next one might be, wait for it, the chain rule. Whoop, whoop.